Hey guys, this is Ronmower along with the Ravenous Spectre.
Greetings and salutations to you all once again. How is everyone this lovely, lovely evening? Well, then again, it's just me and Ron Moore, so I guess I would be talking to him, which would be strange.
Yeah, and somewhat of a somber video, as you can tell by the video, the title of the video. Vader has passed away, as most people know by now. Yeah, he was 63 years old. He died of complications from pneumonia, and that caused his heart to give out. He was already having heart problems to begin with, and so that right there is what caused him to pass away on Monday night, according to his son that posted that on Twitter. It's been confirmed on WWE.com and PW Insider as well. As a matter of fact, I was listening to one of the PW Insider's latest audio shows, and as they were recording, Mike Johnson said he just received bad news that Vader has passed away. So it broke as they were recording, and then they talked about Vader as well on their No Name show on the Elite section of PW Insider. And yeah, so obviously that sucks. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. And Vader was one of my favorite heels growing up as a kid. Back then, I only cheered for the faces, really. I also cheered for Manny Fernandez, but Vader was also another heel that I cheered for, and that was kind of rare because Vader was so awesome. I liked his character. He was a beast. He was like the Brock Lesnar of the 90s, and a man his size that was so agile and do the moonsault off the top turnbuckle. And he was a beast in Japan, and he had that brutal brawl with Stan Hansen where his eyeball got knocked out of his socket. And you saw him when he was inducting Stan Hansen in the Hall of Fame in 2016. He was wearing those glasses where the eyeballs were hanging out, and so that was funny. And yeah, Vader was a beast. He had great matches with Sting and Cactus Jack in WCW. Ron Simmons, he put over Ron Simmons to where Ron Simmons won the world title before Ron Simmons dropped it back to him. But that was a cool moment, and I mean, Vader was just a beast, and he had great matches with Flair, and yeah. And then Vader was supposed to team with Hogan at the War Games against the Dungeon of Doom, but unfortunately, the whole incident with Paul Orndorff went down, and then Vader went to WWF and was managed by Jim Cornette. And at first, Vader was looking like a beast in the WWF, and then broke Yokozuna's leg. Or before that, he beat up Gorilla Monsoon, put him out of commission for a while. So Vader was looking like a beast, looking real strong at first. But then the WWE pretty much misused him. And that's not the Vader that I really want to remember when he was kind of like almost mid-card status in 97. Then by 98, dropping the cane and cutting that promo saying, "I'm just a fat piece of..." I'm like, really? Why would they reduce Vader to that? That made me so mad. Like, really? Vader is such a beast. There's so much better than that. Granted, by that time, he probably wasn't in his prime anymore, but still, they made him look so sorry in WWE. And, I mean, Vader was someone who is so freaking awesome. The Brock Lesnar of the 90s, I would love to see those two fight. And that would have been a good match. And Vader definitely was the man. He the way he talked is, "I fear no man and I feel no pain. Vader time. What time is it?" And he had awesome entrance music in WWF, and we all remember the cheesy White Castle Fear vignette with the Sting, and that led to a strap match. I think a Super Brawl 3 it was, and yeah, so. Real sad that Vader passed away, and he should really be inducted into the Hall of Fame for sure next year. Hopefully, I would think either Stan Hansen, Cornette, or Hardy Race would induct him. Most likely Stan Hansen, I would say. Yeah, Vader was so awesome and just one of the great in-ring workers, and was just so dominant. And what are some of your memories, Spectre?
Well, honestly, ever since I was growing up, I didn't really think anything too much of Vader, except for the fact that he was like this massive beast that some people gravitated towards and others didn't. It was kind of strange because I think that maybe WCW and WWF at the time were really trying to paint him as just being this massive heel type of monster. I don't ever think there was a time they tried to make him be a face. And just like you mentioned before about some of his memorable matches, especially when he ended up facing against Cactus Jack and breaking his nose, I actually have the Mick Foley DVD set, which basically covers his entire life, and that was one of the matches that was on there. And if you look at one of the screenshots where Vader has Cactus Jack over in the corner, he's just like pounding him in the face. You can see where the blood starts to pour down from his nose, and I'm just like, oh my God, man! I was like, I know he had to have broke his nose. But I also thought it was kind of funny how Jim Cornette had kind of managed him for a while, because we all know how freaking crazy that old man is. But I never really watched him too much in WCW because I was more of a WWF guy, and that was kind of like the main place where I had followed him at. But seeing him, especially doing the Vader salt off of the top rope and landing on guys and just landing in the ring in general, you think maybe he would end up causing the entire ring collapse, especially knowing he was such a big guy for his size and being able to do something like that. But he did, and it was insane. Most of the times nowadays we'll end up seeing two big guys go at it in the ring, and sometimes the ring will implode. You know, maybe sometimes that's planned and sometimes it's not. But anyways, regardless of that, I remember the times where Vader also used to star in some TV shows as well. Like he was on Boy Meets World. He ended up playing as the father of one of the bullies. And he also was, I believe, also heard that he was on Baywatch as well. And so Vader seems like he really did get around in terms of not only in the wrestling business, but also in other parts of Hollywood, being on different TV shows and things like that. I believe he was also in some movies as well, but I can't remember what the names of them were. But yeah, it's really terrible to see that he had passed away. And a lot of people will say that at the age of 63, people say that people at that age are still really young and they don't expect them to die at any point. You know, usually you kind of expect maybe somebody to pass away in their mid-70s, 80s, stuff like that usually. But in the early ages, the early 60s, you really wouldn't expect that. But it is terrible because I also ended up seeing a few shoot interviews with him on YouTube over the past few weeks. And I actually thought at that point in time, I was like, wait a minute, didn't Vader pass away at some point, or was I thinking of somebody else? And surely enough, it was somebody else because Vader was still alive and kicking. But then when we ended up finding out about that today, it's just like, oh crap. It's like we ended up losing another great legend, that's for sure, because Vader, he really did pull his, for lack of a better word, he really did pull his weight in the ring. And really did show about how much of a big monster he could be, and had a pretty good feud, I think, with Undertaker as well. But I really do hope in the next year at the Hall of Fame they end up inducting him because he definitely needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I honestly think that he probably should have been inducted much sooner than that. But you know, I guess we basically take what we can get. And I've heard talk about him going into the Hall of Fame next year, and he definitely needs to.
October 2016, I believe, is when it was announced that he was. That his doctor said he only had 2 years to live because of congestive heart failure.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I don't know if he was working with DDP or what to try to get back in shape. I think I heard he even wanted to get back in the ring, which I don't really know would be a good idea anymore for him at that point. But then like here we are, like a year and a half later, he passes away from pneumonia, which. I mean, yeah, that can mess you up right there. And with this heart condition, I mean, yeah, that could cause your heart to give out. And so Mick Foley was talking about at the time, man, we really should have Vader inducted in the Hall of Fame in case he won't last much longer. Well, he wasn't inducted in the Hall of Fame. And Peter Insider made a good point. Dave Scherer said something about because, I mean, would his heart be able to handle the travel? And then would he have to be on the wheelchair to get on stage and hardly be able to speak? And, I mean, his health probably wouldn't really permit him to do that, to attend the festivities that weekend for the Hall of Fame or whatever. So they were probably concerned about that. It reminds me of The Ultimate Warrior, where no one really knew of his heart condition, I don't think, at the moment, at that time. But he was apparently, and I think in hindsight, people would go back and talk about, well, to think about it, the Warrior did kind of look like he was sweating a lot and almost like clutching his heart in a way while backstage and just sitting down. And then like Tuesday, the night after Raw, where he made that final farewell speech, he has a heart attack in the parking lot and passes away. I mean, geez, you know, we definitely don't want to see the same thing happen to Vader. And so But he's gone now, unfortunately, and I really think he should, and I would like to think they will induct him in the Hall of Fame. He's definitely Hall of Fame worthy. And, I mean, I wouldn't even get mad if Mick Foley inducts him. Honestly, I think it should probably be Hardy Race or maybe Stan Hansen, but I would be okay with Mick Foley doing it. And so I also remember, real quick, Vader. Do you remember the incident in Kuwait?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, where it was somebody who ended up saying, "Oh well, is wrestling fake?" And then all of a sudden he's like, "What, does this feel fake?" And then he like grabbed him and snatched him over or something like that.
Yeah, Bruce Pritchard talks about that more in depth on the I think it's episode 16 of Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, hosted by Conrad Thompson. But also I remember I sent in that question to PW Insider years ago, asking them, was that a work or a shoot? And they said, well, it turns out that it was supposed to be a work. Like he was told to grab the host, or I think that was planned or something. But the government didn't know about it. He still somehow got in trouble and was under house arrest or something for a while in Kuwait. But at the same time, I think he had good room service and was able to kind of enjoy himself there. So it was almost like a vacation, if anything. So, and then he's detained for a while, but then released to go back to the U.S. And I remember that. Vader grabbed him. Does that feel fake? Huh? Does that feel fake? And, yeah, so Vader, that's definitely somebody you don't want to ask if wrestling's fake or say it's fake, like Dr. D. David Schultz or Vader or anybody that's big and bad enough to grab you or slap you and say, does that feel fake? Or Jimmy King, whatever his name was from Ready to Rumble, does that feel fake?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vader would definitely be missed. I loved him. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, one of my favorite heels of all. Probably my favorite heel that I ever liked growing up. And so, yeah, Vader definitely deserves being in the Hall of Fame. And so there's a lot more to say about Vader, but I just wanted to kind of make this short and sweet and just want to touch upon it real quick. And it's not totally shocking because it was announced in 2016 that he was given 2 years to live, but there's still a chance that he would get in shape and maybe last longer. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So he is gone from us now. But yeah, I mean, he was awesome to watch. I think the WWE Network has a tribute or a collection of Vader matches and stuff that you can watch right now. I'm going to go check that out probably tomorrow. Vader was definitely awesome. So rest in peace, Vader. And that is all I have to say. Do you have anything else to add before you go?
Well, we ended up losing another legend. It's just like one of my friends used to say, who used to be really big into wrestling back in the day. He's like, well, another one of the old guard has passed away. And, it definitely sucks, but rest in peace, Vader. He definitely had a good career in the ring and outside of the ring, and definitely hoping that he ends up getting inducted into the Hall of Fame next year. And I guess that's pretty much all of my thoughts on this somber note.
Yeah, and if you guys are listening to this and you're a wrestling fan but you don't really know much about Vader at all, check out, if you have the network, check his stuff out in the network. Check it out on YouTube, whatever. Go to Wikipedia, read about him. He was definitely legit, and he was awesome to watch. A guy his size be able to move like that, and he was his character was a very intimidating character. And I mean, yeah, so Vader was definitely a beast, a mastodon, whatever they called him in WWF. I heard rumors.
The Mastodon.
Yeah, I heard Vince wanted to change his name, get rid of Vader and just call him the Mastodon. Which, not really. I mean, Vader was really a part of who he was. I think he had to shorten it to Vader from Big Van Vader because of, I don't know, some sort of legal issues in Japan. I don't know, but I remember he used to come out with that mask in WCW, like a big, huge mask that had steam coming out of it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty metal. I ended up seeing somebody had posted his debut. I know it was a debut in WCW. I think it was in 1990, but I can't remember what show it was or if it was a pay-per-view or something.
It was it might have been 91 Great American Bash, where maybe he's made his debut against the Z-Man or somebody. I don't remember. I gotta go back and look. But yeah, that was cool. And so, yeah, Vader is the man and always will be, and hopefully he'll be inducted next year in the Hall of Fame. And so with that said, guys, we're out of here. I'm Ronmower.
And this is Ravenous Spectre. Later, taters.
God bless and take care.